So you ever leave a theater and you're like, man, I really regret watching that trailer because it showed all of the best parts. That was me walking out of Good Fortune. So Good Fortune stars Aziz Ansari, Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen, Kiki Palmer, and Sandra Oh. The plot of the movie is a well-meaning but inept angel named Gabriel, who is played by Keanu Reeves, ends up meddling in the lives of a struggling gig worker and a wealthy venture capitalist. And boy, oh boy, does he meddle. And one of the positives that I absolutely have to give credit to this movie is Keanu Reeves as Gabriel is one of the best casting decisions I've ever seen. It's right up there with RDJ as Iron Man. And the elements that do deal with Keanu Reeves' character Gabriel are very fun. They're very exciting. They're engaging. A lot of times they're funny. And I think this movie could have done well to include more of those scenes and more of that kind of magical, mystical, religious element that really just made the movie feel unique. What they opted to do instead of that was to take away all of the uniqueness that they had in this plot and in the story in favor of making a very mediocre, very preachy social commentary on the gig economy and capitalism as a whole. And really what it felt like was a referendum on why America is terrible and why America is a really bad place to live. So when you release a movie in America with one of America's national treasures, which is Keanu Reeves, and you kind of dump on the culture and the country for about an hour and 30 minutes, doesn't really leave a good taste in the viewer's mouth. It was a weird choice. But before I get too off sidetracked into the negatives right away, I do want to be charitable and I do want to point out some of the positives because there are some things to enjoy. Like I had said, Keanu Reeves is an absolute standout. Seth Rogen, who has to play basically two different characters throughout the course of this film, he does an amazing job. He's able to play the rich billionaire, kind of aloof guy very, very well. And he's also able to play the disgruntled, kind of low life person living in a motel and kind of just getting by. He's able to play both of these characters extremely, extremely well. And it's just impressive because they're on two very extremes of the film. And unfortunately, that's kind of the only nice things I have to say. And one of the biggest negatives in this film, unfortunately for me, was the lead actor Aziz Ansari. And I will admit, I do have sort of a prejudice against him. And it's not the one you're thinking of, I promise. I am a good person. I just watched him in Parks and Rec a couple years ago. And I remembered not liking his character. And matter of fact, I found him kind of annoying. And he ended up detracting from some of the storylines on the show that I really enjoyed. I just didn't find him very likable. Fast forward to now when I'm watching Good Fortune, in which he is the leading man, he still has those qualities that I just didn't find to be enjoyable to watch. And like I said, he's the leading guy. If you don't like him, you kind of don't like the movie. And the second main negative that I had with this film, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, was the fact that they had this element of Keanu Reeves is an angel. He's interacting with humans, and there's like this little council of angels, and it's really fun and exciting, and it's unique. And they don't do much with it. Matter of fact, they go so far as to, and this is in the trailer, they go so far as to take away Keanu Reeves's wings, making him a human. And in the same way that they clipped Keanu's wings, they kind of clipped the fun out of the movie with getting rid of that angel and not really just not using it to its full potential. And I find that extremely frustrating when movies take their unique element, I guess just don't realize that they had it, and they opt for a more mundane, normal, terrestrial storyline that just doesn't stand out and doesn't do anything interesting. And the last thing that I really want to point out is the fact that this was promoted as a R-rated comedy. Now, I don't know why it had an R rating. There was no nudity. To the best of my memory, 0 F-bombs used. There was nothing graphic. This guy is a millionaire, billionaire living in a mansion in California. There was not even a hint at anything related to drugs. So I'm not sure why it needed an R rating. And the reason I point that out is because I get excited about R-rated mature comedies because those tend to be the most funny. It's just from my experience, they tend to be the most funny. And the second thing I just mentioned there was, yes, this was promoted as a comedy. I don't tend to find shitting on America for 130 minutes to be very funny. In fact, I live in America. I kind of find it depressing. you're going to have me sit down and watch everything bad about America, I'll just turn on the news. And I don't want to discredit the film entirely. It being a comedy, there were a couple funny moments, all of which were from Keanu Reeves, because like I said earlier, perfection in casting, he handled his role exceptionally well. The rest of the characters, the leading man, Seth Rogen, the main storyline, there just wasn't a lot I found to be very funny about it. It was honestly just kind of a depressing slog of a movie. In the end, guys, unfortunately, I think Good Fortune would be best to just wait on for it to come to streaming. Maybe you're in the mood for something depressing. I don't know. If you guys like this video, please drop a like. It really does help out the channel. It sends the video to more people, where more people can find my channel and hopefully join our little community that we're building here. If you had any thoughts and opinions about this movie, maybe you completely disagreed with me, I would appreciate you actually to say that to me. I like hearing your guys' opinions, and I'm very open to your thoughts on the movie. I'm not very closed-minded when it comes to movies. I like to have discussions, quite honestly. So if you have any thoughts and opinions, please drop them in the comments below. And if you liked what you saw on the channel and you'd like to see the rest of the videos that I post, I try to do at least one movie review a week, even if it's not something entirely new. Please consider dropping a sub. I would love to have you. As always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.